Okay guys, welcome to vlog number 2. First off, I apologize for not getting this out on Tuesday morning. Like I said, I was going to get it out, and we are going on a little bit of an adventure here tonight, and it's going to be quite good. And I'm going to be struggling a little bit with, how do you say it? I've got like 3 cameras and 2 sound sources, so I don't know how I'm going to edit it all together. Hopefully it comes out all right, and as I'm quite new at this, but hey, let's get going on the adventure. Now, I hope I don't get pulled over for vlogging and driving at the same time, and hopefully I don't lose my light source in here. But we are going to go and see what we can dig up. I am in search. I'm not a big tone guy when it comes to guitars. Let's start there. And, I got a buddy that is always in search of tone. I've just kind of done whatever, and kind of been happy with that. But things are changing for me. With my studio, I got to pay a little more attention to how tone sounds. And I like things sounding wet. I like things wet, let's just put it that way. And I met a guy a long time ago in my life that this particular guy that I'm talking about that is in search of the holy grail of tone all the time. And having said that, I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. Having said that, he just kind of introduced me to a wet dry sound. And the sound is freaking incredible. I can't believe how good it does sound, and the methodology behind it is so simple, stupid, and it's just the way it needs to be. Like, this is how I will always do things from now on. I've actually been running wet dry for a little while, but I think it's kind of important just to talk about it and just to see or show you guys, give you some insight on how to achieve that tone. And you can do it in your DAW too, and doing it in your DAW is super simple. And I thought, well, rather than show you how to do that in my studio, let's go to his place and show you exactly how he does it and the tone that he's got. Audio, I'm going to have to capture that just through my phone, I think, as far as the audio goes with him. I'm losing my light here, so this is kind of a bit of a situation. Just let me pull over here and fix that. That's better, sort of. It's a little bit of a bumpy road, and I'm using a damn flashlight for lighting this, but anyway, you got to do what you got to do when you're on a budget, right? So where were we? So I'll go back to the guy we're going to go see. His name is Jack Facca, and he's been a buddy of mine for years, and an amazing guitar player with 9.5 fingers. But besides that, he is the guy that showed me the wet dry deal, the wet dry tone, and he follows a lot of cool guys on YouTube, and he really couldn't find a whole bunch on it, so he kind of came up with his own deal, his own engineering of it, if you will. I hope I'm saying the right things, but anyways, I'm gonna cut out of this little intro here before I get pulled over for filming while driving and with a light on in my face. So let's go see Jack. I'll see you when we get there. Okay, we made it. These winters in Canada are freaking insane. So cold out. Anyways, why I'm here. This is for the wet dry guitar rig, and the guy that taught this to me lives in this house. Let's go meet him. Okay guys, we made it. Jack Facca. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, yeah.
You and I have been friends for how long?
Oh, many years, yeah.
Too many?
Yeah.
No,
not
not enough. A little backstory with Jack. He was playing in a rock and roll band when I met him. Actually, we met in daycare. That's another story. That's another episode. So, but that's kind of how we met, and he kind of showed me the ropes into the rock and roll scene here in Saskatoon. So that was kind of interesting. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was like a 10-year tenure for me. It seems in some in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah.
Learned lots from him, and we've been great friends ever since. And that's probably going on. I don't know, how old are our kids, man?
Yeah, there's it's about 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty close.
You're old.
Yeah, I am.
Anyways, the reason for the visit here is on my channel, you know, kind of what my channel's about, right? And what I wanted to do was kind of give a little tutorial episode, if you will, on the wet-dry tone.
Mm-hmm.
And all your gear here, Jack is the guy that kind of introduced me to that wet-dry tone. And you got to hear it, man. And I can't explain it as well as Jack can. And he has reverse engineered this thing to death. And judging by all his pedal boards and that you see in the room here, yeah, the guy's got it going on. I think in his secret life he works for NASA or something like that. But a hell of a guitar player, you know, just a hell of a guitar player. You got the Slick Gizmo thing going on.
Yeah.
And lots of exciting things coming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of turn it over to Jack and kind of just ask his opinion on how he stumbled onto the wet-dry tone.
Yeah,
And
well,
so
I was, as you know, I always been searching for the holy grail of tone, and
right.
went through a number of different rigs just to try and find that and what was the right setup. And I don't know if you could see, but thinking that the Marshall JVM 410H which has 4 separate channels with 3 modes to each one, you got 12 amps in one head. You think that would be the ultimate thing, and it is a great amp. It's one of their king models.
That's a JVM there.
That's a JVM, yeah. And that's the amp that Joe Satriani took and made it his own signature series on. But anyhow, what got me onto wet dry was a couple things. I was watching what I got from Premier Guitar, watching what they were doing, and watching the rig rundowns of different. What are your favorite guitar players? What are they doing in a live situation?
Right.
And so, and then I started seeing, I run a couple different amps. And then this wet dry would come up, and I was like, well, I don't really know what that's all about. And being a guitar head and watching that pedal show with Mick and Dan, and they explained it the best. And when I figured that out for myself, I found that it didn't really much matter so much what amps I was using. It's what it was doing for me when I had 2 amps and running 2 tube amps.
So you're not talking like stereo then? This
is not stereo.
Okay.
It is not stereo. It almost feels like stereo, but it's not. It's not stereo.
It's not stereo.
It's not
Are we
stereo.
tricking our ear at all?
We're tricking our ear. Yeah, it's some
Okay.
way. It can, because what it's doing is, you have one amp that's got no effects in it. It's dry as dry can be, and I like to run the amps close to or just on the edge of breakup, and drive drive with the overdrive with pedals, preferably.
So
It doesn't work it doesn't have to work that way, but it does work that way.
Right. So you're talking the tubes, right? Getting
Yeah,
those...
well, just get the tube get the speaker just on the edge of breakup,
Right.
and that gives you a nice clean tone to work with. Doesn't have to, but it seems like that works for me, works for others,
Right.
from what
Right.
I've learned. What it's doing is the dry amp is it's direct signal. It's right in your face.
Okay.
And then with the wet amp, meaning you can put your effects on it. So what I like to do is you get your reverb, you get your delay, and I like to add chorus or tremolo. Those are my two main effects that I like to use. And there's, you know, you can get into phaser, flanger, and all that other stuff. So your modulation. And what it's when you add that reverb, delay, and what it's doing is giving you that wall of sound. It's in the background, but that direct dry sound is in your face, and so it doesn't get lost in the mix. But when you have the two amps fairly close together, or even far, you know, further apart, and they don't have to be big amps.
Right.
You can run. The thing is that even if you're running two small 5-watt amps or 20-watt amps, they will give you a wall of sound that just comes out of the rig.
Right. So when you're saying, sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but when you're saying they don't have to be far apart to get that separation, like these first two amps here.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones are these again.
Yeah, that one is that's a clone of a Fender Super Champ.
Okay.
And this one is a Speedster, actually built by Mike Soldano himself.
That's a sweet amp.
He signed that one on the back. Actually, that is that's 1998. There's a limited production of those, from what I've learned, and that was Glenn McDougall's from Fury Guitars test rig amp at the time, and then I'm the third owner of that amp now, so I'm pretty stoked to get that.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. But I see they're placed nice and close together, right?
Yeah.
So.
And so what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of example. We're not mic'd, so it's going to be a little tough to maybe capture the effect.
Right.
The idea here is just to introduce you to this, and so you can try it out at home, and then you can see what we're talking about, or hear what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so what I'll do is I'm going to just right now have no effects on.
Okay.
And it's just both amps are on. I can actually just toggle between one amp or the other. There's the Speedster, and then on the other side is the Fender style amp, and they're both dry. So when we put them both on, now if we add a little bit of reverb to it, let's just go through the before we get into what it sounds like. I'll just show you what the traditional probably way of setting up your rig. So what I've got here is I'm going into a couple overdrive pedals, and this gain staging, which I love to do. Gain staging is so nice. You don't have to drive your pedals hard, but when you get one and add the other one on it, it just turns into from a nice low crunch to higher gains into soloing in solo modes, and you get all that stain when you gain stage your pedals. But that's another day. What happens is what we get into these are going to both amps. It goes into a Big Shot by Radial. It's a Canadian-made unit, and what happens
with a name like Big Shot, I guess it would be.
So it's an ABY, and what it's doing is so these two pedals are going to both amps, and then on the output on the B side, it's going into my tremolo, my chorus, my delay, and my reverb, and that goes to the second amp. So just an example here. The overdrive, it's going to both amps. Okay, the important thing is that what you might find when you put two amps together, you might have a phase problem where the speakers are out of phase, means that one is pushing and the other one's pulling. And what might happen is that you might have a drop in your bottom end. What happens? You want both speakers to be in phase, and you'll notice the difference when something may not feel or seem right when they're not acting. And what the nice thing about the Big Shot, now this is I think the first generation. There's a new one up now, and there's an actual phase switch on it, and then that will get both speakers pushing at the same time. At the same time.
Yeah.
So, and when you're using two amps, you might have a ground problem. So Also, this has a ground lift on it, which is another nice feature that this has also. So the Big Shot is, there's many other models out there that'll work, but this you can get them for like used for $50 or $60, and they work great. Now, getting into what makes wet dry work or give you that wall of sound, and it doesn't matter if you're playing at high volume, but it works great even at bedroom levels, and it just fills the room, and it feels like you're in arena rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So until I discovered this, I found the holy grail tone, and it's because of this wet dry. Okay, so.
He says he found the holy grail of tone, but look at the freaking heads and the amps he's got in this.
Yeah, well, you can shape your sound through pretty much with anything.
You're as bad as Tim Pierce. You know that?
Not quite. No. I think he's got a few of me, and he deserves to have those. So, like right now, the Speedster is running the dry. There's nothing. It's got a reverb on it, but I got it shut off right now at the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the reverb on the Fender style here, and I'll just play. Okay, when you go dry, there's dry reverb, and it's already starting to fill up the sound. Now we throw a little bit of delay on here, and it starts getting bigger. And then what happens, and the delay and reverb going to the Fender style amp, I'm going to throw in the chorus, and the chorus is just coming out of the one side, but it almost feels like it's coming out of both amps. That's the trick about what happens.
The magic, right?
Yeah, right. So.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah.
And do it a little bit with the tremolo. And the funny thing especially with tremolo, you think that both amps got the effect going.
Right.
But because this one's pulsating, that you think that it's coming out of this speaker.
Right.
The dry one, but it's not. It's tricking you. It's playing tricks on you, but it just gives a big sound.
In phase, out of phase. In phase, out of phase.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, just to give an example with this too, this amp does have a vibrato tremolo system on it too. Now, if I crank this up, and it does the exact same thing. One amp is doing it, but you get this big sound, right? It's just yeah, no, and especially, and then when you get into the overdrive, it's just big.
That is
big. So there's one other thing that I didn't have this traditional setup right at the start.
No, you didn't.
No, and I'm going, well, what can I do? And I don't have the Big Shot ABY pedal, and at the time I didn't have all this these many amps. So I got thinking, and I was doing the Google searches, and I was trying to find it, but I'd never seen it. I just haven't come across it. And what it is what I did to make it work for me. I used 2 amplifiers, 2 tube amps, and I can show you exactly how I did it with this setup. It's the same on this setup. And what I did was I used the FX Sen.
Right.
Now, not send and return.
No,
just the send.
Just the send.
Just the send. Now,
Yeah. And I say that because I think I know what I'm talking about because I got that same rig over
right
there.
Yeah,
The Hughes Kettner.
Yeah,
And that's the way I run it in my studio.
Yeah.
That's the only way I run it in my studio.
Well, and the thing is, the beauty thing about the Grandmeister 36, and I know there's the 40s out there too, but I'm sure they're quite similar in some ways, is that you got the built-in effects on that amp. So you got the tap tempo,
right,
delay, and you got reverb,
right,
and phase and tremolo, chorus, all that. So it still works on the Hughes and Kettner, which is awesome.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll do a switch over.
Before you do that, I got to give a little backstory about you.
Okay.
In a second.
Oh no.
I can remember, I don't know how many years ago, probably when you first started this little piece of the segment, and you said you got the Holy Grail here now finally. I can remember on the telephone, yeah, I think I'm going to buy that little orange Terror. Yeah. You know, when you got the JVM,
yeah,
you found your Holy Grail.
Right, yeah,
and then,
yeah.
Well, I'm going to buy that little orange Terror now.
Yeah.
I found my sound. I found my tone.
It never ends.
Yeah.
It never
and then they use a Kettner. Yeah, it just never ends.
And that's the thing, you know, it's nice to overdrive amps and you know, get those tubes running hot. But the thing what I've also learned is that guys like Paul Gilbert, when he shows his rig rundown, and he's got a Marshall behind him, and then he goes, yeah, so here's what my Marshall's doing, and it just sounds like, and I'm going, what? You gotta be kidding me. He's running clean, and then he's pumping it through a $50, now they've jumped up in price, a Mojo, but you know, in his
game staging.
Yeah, he's game staging. And then he's ripping off Eddie Van Halen licks, and I'm going, you gotta be kidding me, right? And you know what? Because I think we all kind of go through, you know, we all have gas with the gear. What is it?
The which?
You know, gas.
Like
gear acquisition.
Oh, yeah.
And
I like maybe I farted or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, the search for tone and always the latest pedal and all that stuff. And I think, you know, sure, I've got quite a setup here, but I found that you don't need all this stuff to get basically it boils down to is a couple overdrive pedals to the main stage.
Right.
A boost pedal's nice for that solo push. Tremolo. I like the tremolo chorus because they work great on slow, you know, arpeggiating songs. That delay, tap tempo works great. It's got a reverb in your set.
And
you know, one thing that might be missing is, you know, that awesome fuzz pedal, right? And
the ZZ Top fuzz.
Yeah, you bet. So that's on my list. Yeah,
of course it is.
To kind of wrap this up. That's what I'm hoping that people will try and do. It's just an experience. If it's not your thing, and I also find if you're not using effects, you're kind of a straight in, kind of a AC/DC kind of guy. Maybe this won't be for you, but it can be if you just put a little bit of a short, tight delay in the other amp, and it will just make it big.
Wow.
Yeah.
I expect this episode of this vlog will kind of blow up in a sense, and there's going to be a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm
coming.
sure.
And I'm going to be leaning on you, Jack.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing.
You know,
I've been wanting to contact Nick and Dan from that kind of show just to tell them what I do. You know what? I didn't discover this. People have probably been doing this for years, but I discovered this on my own. Yeah. And I didn't find it anywhere. I didn't find the send out to the second amp or send out to the effects into the second amp. It's just that I was limited because I didn't have the AB box at the time. Right. And crap, this is right. And I'm not getting any issues. All it is just a signal out. Like it's not. the effects loop is all it's doing is you're putting your effects behind or after the power amp of the amp, between that and your speaker. That's what the effects loop does.
Right.
So it's not, if you got an overdriven amp and then you've got delay and reverb, you're actually setting
In front of that,
you're sending that signal into an overdriven amp.
So you're
So
distorting.
you're
You're
actually
distorting all your effects.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of an effects loop. So, don't go back into your amp.
That's another episode.
Go into another. Yeah.
Go into another one.
Go
yeah.
into another
Yeah.
amp. That's all.
Go
you
into
need
your
to-
pocket.
Yeah.
Go get another one.
Yeah.
And go into
The
that
thing
one.
is, probably many people do have more than one amp.
Oh, for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, listen, Jack. I appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate
And
you.
your knowledge is just
Well, I
like
don't know,
vast.
It was just trial and error. I don't know I'm probably gonna get some hate mail over. I mean, some people go, what the, but.
Well, how are you going to get hate mail when it's on my channel? I'm going to get.
Or let's say, what was that Jack Facca guy? He doesn't know what the Facca he's talking
What the
about.
fact he's talking about.
Yeah. So, no. Ideally, the AV box, splitting it out, doing it like how I originally showed on the first rig.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Okay. Well, we'll get that diagram for these people for sure.
Yeah.
And
well, thank you.
you haven't heard the last of Jack Facca.
Oh gosh.
He'll be on the channel a few more times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he's got some exciting stuff coming.
Yeah.
So,
I'm pumped.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
Anything you want to say to anybody?
No,
So
thanks
you've
for
got the
putting
pedal
on-
show, right?
Yeah.
You want it?
Sorry?
The pedal show?
Yeah, that pedal show. If you want to know more about Wet Dry, make them down from that pedal show off YouTube. Those guys explain it.
We'll drop a
really
link
well.
below for that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And who else you got?
Well, no, those two guys
Just those
have
two
it
guys?
laid down. Yeah, and if
Okay.
you want to watch, it's just I just find it inspiring to see what the people you look up to, what's running in their rigs, and you can get a sense. And sometimes everybody thinks that we need, and we're going into a smaller amp world. Like you don't need 100-watt amps to drive and to gig in.
The double stack Marshalls is yesterday.
Well, and the thing is, I run these two Princeton style, Champ style amps, and they're great amps. And one's 5-watt and one's, I believe, 12-watt. And running two of those in a wet dry, it will keep up to anything. Like it keeps up to the gigs that I play. So,
Nice.
and it gives you that big sound. And 10-inch, and one's got a 12-inch speaker.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Again, appreciate your time.
Okay, yeah, all right, thank you.
Big high five. And then we'll cut out of here and have a beer now.
Yeah, all right. Thanks
Right on,
again.
man.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.